You know, sometimes in medicine, you come across these incredible puzzles, situations where the right answer just doesn't seem to make any sense at first. And today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating ones out there. It all starts with a rare complication after a heart attack that forces surgeons to make a choice that seems to defy all logic.
So picture this, a patient's heart has a literal hole in it. Their life is on the line. I mean, every fiber of your being, every medical drama you've ever seen is screaming, get them to surgery now, right? But what if doing that, what if rushing in is actually the deadliest thing you could do? That right there is the heart of what we call the surgeon's paradox.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we need to back up a little and talk about the injury itself. This whole thing kicks off after someone has a really major heart attack, and that event can just leave the heart muscle incredibly weak, really vulnerable.
Now, in about 1% of these cases, something truly catastrophic happens. That wall of muscle separating the heart's two big, powerful lower chambers, the ventricles, it just tears, it ruptures. And that's what doctors call a ventricular septal rupture, or VSR for short. Suddenly, you've got this hole in a heart muscle that's already at its weakest point. Blood starts going where it's not supposed to, and the patient goes into heart failure, fast.
And let me be crystal clear here. This thing is absolutely lethal. If you just try to treat it with medicine and don't do surgery, the chances of dying are a staggering 87%. And that's within just 2 months. So surgery isn't just, a good idea. It is the only way to survive. Period.
Okay, so that brings us right back to the paradox, the main event. You've got a deadly tear in the heart. Logic, common sense, it all screams go, 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 operate immediately. But the actual data, the numbers, well, they tell a completely different and frankly a much scarier story.
I mean, think about it. The patient is crashing. The heart is failing. The only goal has to be patching that hole as quickly as you possibly can, right? That's what you'd expect. That's the textbook movie of the week answer. But check this out. The numbers just flip everything on its head. There was this one study by a group led by Koskun, and what they found is just mind-blowing. When they did this surgery within the first 3 days, 100% mortality. Let that sink in. Every single patient died. But when they waited, when they held off for over a month, 36 days to be exact, the mortality rate fell all the way to 0.
So now you see the question, right? This is the absolute core of the paradox. It just feels wrong, almost impossible. How on earth can waiting to fix a deadly hole in the heart be the difference between a 100% chance of dying and a 100% chance of living?
Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't really about the surgeon's skill or the operating room at all. It's about biology. It's about the healing process. And it all boils down to one simple thing. What kind of material is the surgeon trying to stitch back together?
And this is where the wet paper versus strong fabric idea comes in, and it's a perfect analogy. Right after a heart attack, that damaged part of the heart muscle is what doctors call necrotic. It's basically mush. It's fragile and weak. And trying to sew it together, it's literally like trying to stitch 2 pieces of wet toilet paper. The thread just tears right through. But if you can just wait, the body starts to do its thing. It starts to heal. And after a few weeks, that mushy dead tissue gets replaced by scar tissue, what we call fibrotic tissue. It's tough, it's strong, and that's like sewing strong fabric. Now the stitches can actually hold. Now you can make a repair that lasts.
Okay, so just wait, right? Simple. Well, not so fast. If it were that easy, it wouldn't be a paradox. The brutal reality is that most of these patients are just way too sick to wait. Their bodies are shutting down. So that waiting period, it becomes its own desperate race against the clock. See, while you're waiting for that heart tissue to get strong enough for surgery, the rest of the patient's body is in total crisis. That hole is causing catastrophic heart failure, something called cardiogenic shock. It basically means the body's organs are being starved of oxygen. And with every passing hour, you risk permanent organ damage, you risk the tear in the heart getting even wider. It's an unbelievably tense tightrope walk for the surgeons. So that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How do you possibly wait when your patient is literally dying in front of you? The answer, thankfully, comes from modern medical technology. It's all about building what they call a bridge to surgery.
See, it's not a passive choice anymore. It's not just operate now or cross our fingers and wait. No. Now doctors have a real strategy. They can actively manage that waiting period to buy the time, those precious weeks that the heart needs to get stronger.
And this bridge strategy is basically a 3-step game plan. Step 1, you've got to stabilize the patient.
You do this with incredible support devices like an intra-aortic balloon pump, an IABP, or even ECMO, which is a full-on heart-lung bypass machine. These things essentially take over the job of the heart, giving it a break. Step 2, with the patient now stable on these machines, you wait. You give that heart the time it needs to heal, to build up those strong fibrotic edges we talked about. And then finally, step 3, you operate. You go in when the tissue is strong like fabric, and the surgeon can make a repair that will actually hold. You've turned what was a death sentence into a real shot at survival.
So, when you pull it all together, what you have is this incredible high-stakes balancing act. It's a decision that's part biology, part cutting-edge technology, and a huge part of just pure, experienced surgical judgment.
And the researchers who studied this really nailed it. They said that the time between finding the hole and fixing it is the deciding factor between life and death. It proves it's not always just what you do in medicine, but exactly when you choose to do it.
And that just leaves us with this one really powerful idea to think about. We live in a world, especially in medicine, that values speed, right? Quick action, decisiveness. But this surgeon's paradox, it's this incredible reminder that sometimes the bravest, smartest, and most life-saving thing a doctor can possibly do is to take a breath, support the patient, and just wait.